Hello everyone, this is part 42 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Dojutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Council Room. Naruto, the Civilian Council, and the Shinobi Council were all gathered together around the room for their annual meeting. Naruto had finally taken it upon himself to bring up an issue that had been plaguing his mind for a few months since becoming the Hokage. He had still remembered his promise and he would fulfill it. Naruto turned his head to the civilians and he noticed that more than a few of them and continued to glare at him, showing their hatred for the blonde. And while Naruto knew that the village's image of him had greatly changed to where they not only respected him, but also admired him as their leader, there were still the few people that even he couldn't change their mind. Most of those happened to be the Civilian Council. This seemed to occur in no one more than Sakura's mother, Sakuno. He figured that she had hated him for sending Sakura to Suna and for his, rather, blatant insult to her daughter's skills, but Naruto had spoke the truth and right now he didn't have the time to deal with this woman. So Hokage-sama, why have you called this meeting? Kushina asked, sitting in one of the two UNI seats of the Shinobi Council with the other seat being occupied by Sume. Since Naruto was the Hokage, then Kushina took up the spot of temporary clan head for meetings. Inoki, Hiashi, Shibi, Itachi, Shikaku, and Chusa wondered about it as well. Hell, even Naruto's new advisors, Tsunade and Sarutobi, wondered what the blonde was thinking. Recently I have thought this over and it has been brought to my attention. It is a problem that I find with the Hyuga clan, Naruto stated, and people murmured to each other while Hiashi's face remained stoic. He just folded his arms and glared evenly. He would have the chance to speak. The Hyuga clan. What seems to be the issue? Itachi asked. He had been named the clan head only because Sasuke, now, wasn't the oldest Uchiha to serve the village. Naturally, Itachi said that Sasuke would be the true heir to the Uchiha clan, but for now he would fulfill the role. The issue is due to a few complaints that I've received from the side branch family. I heard that the main branch is threatening the side branch. Now I know of the cage bird seal. It holds comparisons to my own seal that binds Kyuubi to me. However, Hiashi, while they're your clan, they are also my shinobi. I know what the seal does to their minds. You would be able to K1 without my knowing, right? Naruto asked, and Hiashi nodded, finally being able to speak. If they have been, then they have done something that warrants it. The seal is not meant for misuse, Hiashi responded, and Naruto chose that opportunity. That's right, it is meant to divide the family of all those who hold the Byakugan. It might not be meant for misuse, but it can still be. Arrogance of those who think they are better than the other by birth is a complete fault, Hiashi-san. I looked through the archives and Gigi had a few files of missing branch Hyuga family that hadn't been out on a mission, Naruto said, narrowing his eyes. Sarutobi nodded and all eyes were on Hiashi. Tsunade showed a clear suspicion of such things. She hadn't thought too much of the cage bird seal until this moment. The things that go on in my clan do not warrant your concern, Hokage-sama, Hiashi defended. He really didn't like where this conversation was going. For Naruto, it showed a clear amount of anger, frustration and even confusion. It thanks to Kyuubi that Naruto could even read emotions as well as he could, but it was with Nanabi that he completely perfected the art. It was really coming in handy now. Technically that's not true, Hiashi. Just like the main branch of the Hyuga, the side branch is under the complete control of the Hokage before the clan head. Death without his authority can be seen as usurp of power on your part, Tsunade said. Yeah, she had read the rules and she made that perfectly clear. I am well aware of the rule of Hokage-sama, Tsunade. I would like to know just why this is a problem. It has never been one in the past, Hiashi said, and the council shifted the gazes back to Naruto for his counter. The blonde knew he was right, but this wasn't about the past, it was about the future. That is right. I am sure that there haven't. However, that is not an issue. Knowing that the life and death of my shinobi can be determined without my approval isn't something that I can allow, but I will stray from that for a second. Hiashi-san, tell me, why does your clan have two families like this? What is the use to the cage bird seal? Naruto asked, and Hiashi closed his eyes to gather his thoughts. He could feel that everyone wanted to know as well. Granted, they knew why, but it was never truly explained. Itachi really wanted to know. This was something that he always wanted to know about, but he didn't delve into it. Hiashi just lowly snorted and responded. The purpose to the side branch is to protect the main branch. It was made to use Hyuga techniques that were accessible to them to serve us. This has been the way since the second clan head of the Hyuga. The cage bird seal is a precaution. In case they are defeated, then upon the death the Byakugan will be locked, never to be used by anyone. It is to protect the secrets of the Hyuga, Hiashi explained. Most of the civilians understood what he was saying, but none of the Shinobi Council did. They all had family, and putting a line between them just wasn't common. They were all treated fairly and equally. Granted, they did pay respects to the clan head, but other than that they were all equals. This was most apparent in the UNI clan for Naruto and Tsume. Naruto could have put a line between the Uzumaki Namikaze members of his clan and Tsume's Inuzuka. It would have been a divided, but single clan. Who wants that? Well, I do believe in the secrets of your clan. However, I think you have failed to miss something, Naruto said, and Hiashi's eyebrow rose. Everyone waited with bated breath, and Naruto made his point known. What happens if a main branch member falls to a member? You don't put this seal on them, and if they are taken, then what? Whoever takes them can have all the secrets in the world that you hold. If you, yourself, are defeated, then no doubt anyone wouldn't hesitate to take your eyes. Where would the success of your cage bird seal be then? Naruto asked, and Hiashi glared. He knew of the risk of death. How could he not? He was also a shinobi. The Byakugan doesn't have any weaknesses. With it, we have the most proficiency in. Okay, stop. I know the strengths to the Byakugan. I have it, and I had officially apologized to you for taking it. I asked for you to forgive me, and you trusted that I could use it wisely. However, like all the Dojutsu and Kekai Genkai I have acquired, it has its limits. I know this foremost more than any other Hyuga, except you. I have a large field of vision than anyone, including you. I know of the blind spot to the back of the head. I know the temporary blindness if you surge your chakra and blind the Byakugan. The Sharingan, it will obviously anticipate incoming attacks and allow you to act accordingly, but without the proper training, then it is a waste and will only rush your end, Naruto explained, and Itachi nodded in agreement. That was one of the downfalls to the Sharingan. Your body had to be stable to handle it. And what of your Shinseinigan Hokage-sama? You seem fit to point out the Uchiha and Hyuga's weaknesses, but what about yours? Hiashi asked, trying to evade the point. Something that everyone knew he was doing, but Naruto answered anyway. Well, it's off point, but very well. My Shinseinigan is my own developed dojutsu. Capable of taking, with permission from another, a jutsu and using it. This worked more me in regular jutsu, Kekai Genkai, dojutsu and Kekai Tota techniques. It also allows me to combine Kekai Genkai to form new ones. That is a strength, but that requires sufficient chakra control to do, and another downfall is the chakra consumption. My dojutsu was meant for me. Meaning that a regular person trying it use it is like a leaf falling into a fire and expecting to make it out without being burned. It won't happen. The last weakness to it is that there isn't one. If I am ever defeated and someone takes my eyes and they meet the requirements, then you had better prepare for one hell of a fight, Naruto said, and most of the council shuddered. No one wanted to go up against such a tool. Now, with that being the case, I will tell you this, Hiashi-san. You might hate me for it, but I want it done. You have one of two options. You will either place that cage bird seal on everyone, including yourself, in the Hyuga clan, or you will take it off the branch family. If neither action is taken in 3 weeks, then I will make the decision myself. Also, if I hear of any side branch member deaths, then I will find the one responsible. Meeting adjourned, Naruto said, standing up from his seat. He walked out of the room and most of the civilians followed. Hiashi seethed as the other shinobi council members began to leave. Kushina and Tsume saw a glare he sent them both, but it only made them both just a little bit more happy to know that finally someone was doing something about that council. Weird how it just fell on Naruto to get it done. They then saw Hiashi just visibly sigh and get up from his seat. It seemed that he would still be having a meeting later. Hokage office. Naruto sighed and rubbed his temples slightly as he walked in on a clone handing the large stack of paperwork. It just smiled at him and Naruto smiled back. He saw Shizune come in and hand it a new folder before she left. Pretty ballsy of you, I must say. I never saw anyone stick it to Hiyashi so badly, Tsunade said as she and Sarutobi came into the room. Someone had to do it, and if it happens to be me, then I'll do it as much as I can. No doubt the main branch is going to be pissed while the side branch might be happy, Naruto said, and the two nodded their heads. Sarutobi sat into a chair and chuckled, making them both look at him. It's quite funny. I still see the young man who barged into my office shouting that he would be Hokage as well as make Chunin for Tsume. So much time has passed, Sarutobi said, making Tsunade sigh and Naruto smile. There was soon a knock on the door and Naruto allowed the person to come in. Immediately Fu revealed herself with a piece of paper. It was a proposal paper for a new idea that she wanted to enact. I filled it out, Naruto-kun, like you told me to a week ago. Now will you look it over? Fu asked and Naruto nodded with a smile. He took the paper from her hands and looked it over quickly before nodding. Fu bowed and then turned to leave, obviously happy about something that Tsunade and Sarutobi didn't know about. So mind telling us? Tsunade asked and Naruto gave paper to Tsunade. Sarutobi looked over her shoulder while Tsunade looked over the paper. A Fuinjutsu department section, meant for translating and finding new ways to use Fuinjutsu to better the Konoha community as well as teaching the aspects of Fuinjutsu to the shinobi willing to learn. That's not bad, but who in this village is an expert at seals besides you, Kushina, Jiraiya and her? Tsunade asked and Naruto smiled. Quite a few people. Some who don't belong to a department. They are naturally talented, but the knowledge that they don't possess limits them. I think Fu saw that, so she came to me with this proposal. I think it is a good idea. There is building that is adjacent to the interrogation department that is perfect for it, Naruto responded and Tsunade nodded her head. The three Kage stayed in the room for a short time before Naruto's work was quickly finished while Tsunade pulled out a sake bottle. They all just shook their heads at her, but both decided to indulge themselves a bit. With Hiyashi marched himself into the compound where Hinata and Hanabi greeted him, but both could see the clear look of irritation on his face. Hinata, Hanabi, call forth the entire clan for a meeting outside. I want them all out in the next 30 minutes, Hiyashi said, and both nodded their heads as they ran out to go and gather the Hyuga clan. Meanwhile, Hiyashi just leaned back into his chair and grumbled. The Sandaime was easy in his old age. He had left clan matters alone as he had other things to deal with. The Godaime had remained impassive towards it. Tsunade didn't really care about it one way or the other and Hiyashi was glad for that, but the Rokudaime, he was an unknown. He was the first to outright oppose the Hyuga's traditions, and it was this that Hiyashi saw Naruto as a scary individual. It was sort of frightening how the blonde turned anything against him. Just as Hiyashi wished, the entire compound, side and main, had gathered together in a large courtyard. They all seemed to be talking to each other and all waited for Hiyashi to arrive. What is this about? Neji wondered to himself. Next to him were Hinata and Hanabi, both looking very much confused. Neji didn't say anything to them and just decided to remain quite like most of the people. Soon, Hiyashi stepped out from the main door. He looked at the dozens, if not hundreds of Hyuga that littered his courtyard, and he knew that there was going to be a large amount of confusion, happiness, and some anger. I have called you all together to inform you all of the meeting that the clan head, civilian council and shinobi council attended with Hokage-sama, Hiyashi announced, and everyone immediately began to pay attention. Naruto-kun, Hinata thought worriedly while Neji and Hanabi narrowed their eyes. Hiyashi just started at the straight faces of men, women and children before he cleared his tea and continued. During the meeting, the Hyuga family was examined, and it seems that a few main branch members have been misusing the power of the cage bird seal. Hiyashi paused again and he even saw a few Hyuga begin to sweat and he glared. So it was true after all. Now Hiyashi wasn't sure whether to be ashamed that he tried to defend them in front of the Hokage, or sad for their actions. Nevertheless, he was still a shinobi of Konoha and he had the responsibility of telling this to his family. In light of these events, Hokage-sama has issued me 2 options to ensure that this never happens again, as well as to never keep this going in the future. The Hyuga clan must effective immediately decide, and if you can't in the next 2 weeks, then I will decide as the head and I will inform Hokage-sama of the decision. Option 1, Hiyashi said, and many people gulped. Neji narrowed his eyes as did Hinata and Hanabi. All three wondered just what their Hokage was thinking, but spoke anyway. Is that every main branch member be given the cage bird seal, including myself. We are to all be labeled with this consequence, Hiashi said, and the side branch widened their eyes while the main branch just stayed in absolute horror. They glanced towards the side branch and could see a few grins in the crowd. Neji just stood dumbfounded at that option. It sounded too good to be true. No one would be better than the other. The main branch would live with the realization that they were no better than the side branch. And no one would be able to tell them apart. It would be an entirely mixed clan. He turned to Hinata to see that she was indeed surprised, as was Hanabi. No way can we go with that option. What's the other one? A main branch member asked, and Hiashi nodded. He just gave a heavy sigh. He could see that the Hyuga Council wasn't at all pleased with this development, but Naruto was above them in authority. They didn't have a say in this. The next option is to have all side branch Hyuga report to Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama, and Kushina-sama to look over and remove the seals on their foreheads. There will no longer be a main or side branch. There will only be one true branch with one clan head and its fair council, Hiashi said, and that was the shocker of a lifetime. He had seen multiple side branch members actually gasp before a few dropped to the ground and cried tears of happiness. The main branch didn't seem too pleased, but Hinata was truly. Isn't that great, Neji-Nisan? Hinata asked as she turned to Neji. She then just stared and saw a tear fall from Neji's eyes. He just shuddered, and even he couldn't resist the urge to fall to his knees, which drew a few people's attention. Thank you, Naruto. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can never repay this, Neji said mentally, and while this was going on, Hiashi turned his head more to the main branch than the side branch. Also, Hokage-sama has told me to tell everyone here. If there is any death of a side branch Hyuga in the time of 3 weeks before our decision has been made, then the main branch will be tried and the person found will be surely, Hiashi said, and with that, he did a sharp turn on his heel and closed the door to his room. However, this marked the first time in Konoha that the usually stoic Hyuga clan had roared in happiness of their Rokudaime Hokage, especially the side branch more than anyone else. With Deodara and Toby. Oi Toby, where do you think you're going? Deodara asked to his partner, who was trying to sneak away childishly. Toby gulped and rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Our senpai, Toby just wanted to see what Kumo was up to. Toby was going to see if the Hachibi was a good boy like Toby. Toby liked good boys like himself. Is that okay, senpai? Toby asked, and Deodara rolled his eyes at his partner. Why did they let this nutjob join the Akatsuki? It was like an insult to the organization that this guy was even to be considered an S-ranked criminal. It had to be some kind of joke. Oi Barker, don't go doing S by yourself. We have our orders. We are to wait for our chance to strike the Nibi and Nanabi without the Kyuubi noticing. Try and be a little more mature, quiet, cool, like me, Deodara said with a smirk. Had he been paying attention, then he would have seen the roll of the eye from Toby. But Toby wants to go. Toby promises that he will stay out of trouble. He will not get caught. He will do a quick check and will appear back. Toby promises on his life, Toby said, and Deodara growled before he shook his head left and right. I said no. Now let's go, Deodara said, and Toby sucked his teeth childishly and kicked a pesky pebble on the path. Itachi-senpai would have let Toby go. He knows that Toby wants to be as good a member as him was. He would let Toby do it. He was a good boy until he left. Had he been around, he would have just let Toby go so long as he was careful, Toby said more to himself than to Deodara, but it was directed at Deodara's pride. What a mark it was too. Deodara twitched at Itachi's name. He had complete and utter hatred that Itachi just up and left without saying a word. He never got to challenge the guy to a fight. It was taboo to say his name in front of Deodara, unless you had a death wish, and Toby knew that he had hit a landmine. Deodara gritted his teeth and grumbled before he threw his hands up into the air. Fine, do whatever the hell you want. I don't get AF anyone. Get K for all I care. I'm going back to the inn now, Deodara said, and he sighed while Toby jumped up and down, thanking his senpai for this one chance. Now Toby will go and get ready. Toby hopes he is a good boy like him, Toby said before he vanished into a wormhole. Hokage's personal training ground. You Satan. Haki Data I no Jutsu, Meteor Release, Coming of the great destruction technique, Naruto shouted as he quickly s the ground. Immediately it shook violently and his clone quickly rolled to the side as 5 large fiery rocks s into the ground causing a loud explosion. The clone rolled to the side before it quickly activated its Byakugan and increased its pace at Naruto. The blonde grinned and did some more hand signs. Iron sand surrounded the area making the clone stop before a large ball of the sand appeared in the air. Satetsu, Tetsuha no Kakomu, iron sand, surrounding iron blades, Naruto shouted and the sand turned to blades and launched themselves towards the clone of the blonde. Kaiten, the clone shouted and the Hyuga technique blasted away the iron sand surrounding it. Once it was safe, it quickly jumped back while Naruto grinned. He quickly took out one of his father's kunai and threw it at the clone. The clone glared at the incoming dagger and quickly dodged it before it saw Naruto's smirk. The blonde disappeared in the Haraishin and appeared next to the clone. Haraishin, level 2. Rasengan. Naruto shouted and he sa blue sphere into the clone sending it crashing into the trees. Naruto landed on the ground with a soft huff. Since he had left the Hokage mansion he had decided to spend the rest of the day training. It had been rather fruitful as he was coming along with making his new techniques. Don't let your guard down Databane. Tetsuha, Iron Blade, Kushina shouted from where she had been. Naruto glanced towards his mother and blocked her sword with Raiga. He then grinned and, taking Tyron into his other hand, s at Kushina, but she dodged it and backflipped away. Who let the guard down? Certainly not me, Ka-chan, Naruto said and Kushina just smiled as she blurred out of sight. Naruto then got serious and then placed Raiga's handle in his teeth. He had decided to fight without his dojutsu, he didn't need it. It wasn't what made him strong, but his experience with it. He would win without them. Naruto quickly threw Yugisa, Sira and Fukun into the air before he activated his Kyuubi cloak letting 2 tails come from behind. He only went to the second tail because it was all he needed. Fukun landed into Naruto's free hand while his 2 tails caught Sira and Yugisa. Kushina's eye twitched at the act before she readied herself. You sure you should be training? I think Kasumi might want you near her more than usual, Kushina said and Naruto agreed. He had been keeping a close eye on Kasumi. He had been leaving the office much faster than usual. When he had offered the small kit that he had made from yin and yang chakra to Kasumi, she had liked the idea of the daughter having a companion as well and that fox never strayed from Kasumi's side, intent on meeting its partner when she came. Oh, we will have plenty of time for that, Ka-chan, but right now I need to get stronger to not only protect my clan, but also my coming daughter. Sorry, but I'm not content with where I am, Naruto said and Kushina nodded. He was a true Uzumaki. Well then what are you waiting for, Hokage-sama? I'll fight you all day, Kushina responded and Naruto's action was to raise Sira into the air with his tail and s her to the ground, quickly cracking the ground underneath Kushina's feet. The Red Death shifted her balance before she saw Naruto charge her. She quickly blocked Yugisa and Tyron at the same time. Naruto then twisted his N and swiped Raiga at his mother, which made her backflip away. Naruto raised Fukun into the air and Kushina dodged 3 lightning strikes from the clouds and skidded back into a pool of water. She could only see a single hand sign from Naruto which made him smirk. Hyoten, Urugasu Seihyo no Jutsu, Ice Release. Destructive ice shattering technique, Naruto yelled and he watched as the pond in front of him exploded in ice shards. He could see Kushina trapped inside and he smirked before he saw her image vanish with a log. He only had the time to curse before a kick was sent into his face causing him to skid across the ground. I'm not that easy, Sochi, Kushina told him and only noticed Naruto get to his feet. He nodded and grinned. That's right, you are worth a lot more. Naruto roared and Kushina watched as 4 more tails came out. The wind picked up and she covered her eyes from the pressure. The ki raised immensely from before and she noticed the Kyuubi feed Naruto wearing a think skeleton shape on his body. The blonde roared and Kushina widened her eyes. Are you still in there? Kushina asked sort of worriedly and the beast glared at her. It then formed a sinister smirk on its face and Kushina slowly gulped before it responded. As in here as I can be. Now then, try to keep up, Naruto said as he blurred out. Kushina widened her eyes before she felt a tail s her on the stomach sending her into the air. The Red Death cursed and backflipped away. Damn, with him like that I can't get too closer without Kyuubi's chakra burning me. I hate that creativity, Kushina said to herself before she quickly drew a clone only in time to see Naruto open his mouth. Bi and chakra came from his body and formed together. Kushina widened her eyes before she grinned immensely. Naruto swallowed the ball in front of him and a crush on the earth came down from the density. Kushina bit both her thumbs while Naruto roared. Bijudama, tailed beast bomb, Naruto shouted as he launched the burst of chakra and Yuki at Kushina, who instantly s the ground as fast as she could. Kuchios, Sanju Rashomon, summoning, triple Rashomon, Kushina shouted and 3 demon gates raised from the earth while Naruto's blast s into the first. It happened so fast, but Kushina kept her hold over the gates as a large explosion followed. It tore the mountain behind her and Kushina just glared before the attack stopped. She looked to see that only one of her gates was still standing. Hey, what's the big idea, Databane? Even if you used 4 tails you would have destroyed all 3, yet you only took out 2. Why is that? Kushina asked, and the 6-tailed Kyuubi Naruto thrashed a tail around while he spoke. It was meant to distract you while I did this. Naruto shouted and Kushina saw his hands in the ground. The earth under her rumbled and the Red Death widened her eyes before she jumped out of the way, letting 2 arms rise up. Naruto grinned and another arm ran at her with Yugisa in its possession. It wrapped around Kushina and held the wind blade to her end. Well? Naruto asked and Kushina rolled her eyes. Fine, I give up. Now let go of me before this chakra eats away at my Anbu armor, Kushina ordered, and Naruto nodded as he retracted the claw. While Kushina sheathed her sword, she saw Naruto's transformation stop. The tails withdrew and so did the skeleton. It turned back into a regular fox cloak with the rest of Naruto's body intact. The cloak withdrew and went back into the seal while his swords dropped to the ground. Ah, that was fun. I wanted to push for number 7 or 8, but it was beyond me. At least 8 is right now, Naruto said, and Kushina just nodded. Still, you have gotten a lot better. Better than I was with it, as I never truly used Kyuubi except for a few instances. How is the seal? Kushina asked and Naruto snorted. Not really a concern if she's already out, isn't it? Naruto asked and Kushina just stared at him blankly before she nodded and the 2 Uzumaki walked away with the former sighing. He then grabbed his mother and they both bolted him. UNI clan compound. I don't wanna. Please don't make me do it. An Inuzuka yelled while Tayuya patted him on the shoulder. Your S will not be in vain, eh? Now go for it. Tayuya shouted as she pushed the Inuzuka towards Kasumi. The dog girl grabbed his hand and screamed while the Inuzuka shouted, causing most of the dogs to howl across the compound. Ah, it hurts. Make it stop. He shouted and Kasumi slowly her breathing. She then leaned back to the bed while the Inuzuka gulped and walked away while Haku sweet dropped already working in his hand. Man, this brat is a monster. I can't wait to see her. I'll straighten her, Tayuya said, and Kasumi just gave a weak smile. It all stopped when everyone noticed Naruto fall to the ground along with Kushina. And Naruto-kun, Haku said while Tayuya waved. They all noticed Kushina walk up the stairs with a sigh and go take a well-deserved shower. Naruto, on the other hand, quickly sat on the couch and gently laid Kasumi's head down. The girl merely smiled warmly at the gesture and closed her eyes. She was tired, so she would get some rest. It didn't take long before Kasumi's light snoring was heard and Naruto chuckled as he rubbed a hand through her hair. Man, when she sleeps you would never think that she had that strength in her arms. I swear, it's too much trouble, Tayuya said, leaning against the back of the couch. Naruto's chuckle was heard by her and he just smiled. Yeah, she's like you in a way. I can only wonder what would happen if you got pregnant, Naruto said, and Tayuya's eyebrow twitched. She then snorted and rolled her eyes. Well, sorry to break it to you, but I ain't carrying no kids. Especially not seeing what this girl has to go through, Tayuya responded, and Naruto just sighed. True, but sometimes I wonder if it will be worth it. To see Kasumi smiling with our daughter wrapped in her arms. I like to think that it's more fulfilling when Yuna will be here, Naruto said, and Tayuya didn't have to see him to know that he was grinning like mad. Yeah, well, I'm just the up Orochimaru follower who is staying here. I haven't got no right to be happy, Tayuya answered, and she felt the air grow cold. It happened fast, but Tayuya suddenly glared into 2 cold eyes. Eyes that should have been looking at Kasumi's sleeping form. Right behind her was a clone of the blonde while the real Naruto leaned in close to her. Quote, I wonder what our kids would look like. I bet that'd be just as rowdy as you with my energy. Oh Kami, I don't wanna see that, Naruto said, and Sume effectively smacked him over the head. Then it will be our place to keep them in line. Nothing more, nothing less, Sume said, walking off, and Naruto just nodded absently with a small smirk across his face before he looked down. En Naruto-sama, Kasumi muttered while she slept the day away. Naruto just grinned outright while he saw Kasumi's tail wag left and right in happiness. With Kakashi and Jiraiya. Jiraiya was busy drawing seals around the outer ring of a small chamber. He sighed and rubbed the back of his head. He wasn't there for Naruto, but damn it, he would be there for his child. He owed both Naruto and Minato that much. With him was Kakashi, who wasn't really doing anything, just surveying the landscape. A little too cautious, aren't you? Kakashi asked, and Jiraiya just shrugged his shoulders. He sighed again for the umpteenth time and smiled. No, not really. It was requested by Suhaime. She said that these would help to filter out Kasumi's chakra, so I'm just using them is all. Nothing to worry about, Jiraiya told him, and Kakashi sweet-dropped. When he tells me not to worry, that's when I'm gonna worry the most, Kakashi thought to himself before he buried his face into his Ika. Jiraiya just watched his #1 fan read his works before he chuckled. You know, I had recently heard that Naruto purchased 3 of my books, Jiraiya said, and Kakashi's ear twitched. He turned to Jiraiya in curiosity, and the man nodded. Ika Wild Romance, Ika Red Light District, and Ika Fluttering Shamefulness. He really did. I also heard that he had been using it for reference. That's boy. Jiraiya said as Kakashi took that as the Toad Sage had been spying and Naruto was practicing Ika style stuff. Kakashi just wiped a tear from his visible eye and smiled. I knew you weren't a lost cause, Naruto, Kakashi thought to himself before he continued to read while Jiraiya worked on the seals along with a few other Fuinjutsu experts. With Kyuubi, Nibi and Nanabi. The 3 female Beiyu stood at the center of a lake while they casted their yuki over a field. They all had been trying this for quite a while, and now that Naruto was finished with his training, then they could finally get something done. Nanabi, you need tighter control. Nibi, more yuki, Kyuubi commanded, and the 2 Beiyu nodded their heads as they continued on. They were trying to gain a small passage to the underworld. It had been in their internal clock even since the Rikido Sennin had split them from the Juubi that they would be able to tell whenever something was going on there, and something was going on. A large light appeared over them, and Kyuubi sighed. Finally, they were getting somewhere. Hopefully they would be able to get something done and work on this problem. If Sato was able to take Raijin from its resting place, then that had to mean that the original owner had to either BS or the seals on the resting place had opened up enough to cause Sato to grab the Raijin. Kyuubi didn't even want to think about the latter. After all, she knew the resting place very well. Alright, I think we got. Kyuubi stopped and she quickly fell to the ground. She coughed and placed a hand over her mouth, causing Nibi and Nanabi to lose the image. Both knelt down next to Kyuubi, who coughed a little more and shook her head. Damn it, not now. Why does it have to be now? Kyuubi thought to herself before Nanabi and Nibi helped her to her feet. You okay? You should take a break, Canary. You've been up for days trying to make this work. You're not getting enough sleep, Nanabi said as she laid Kyuubi down next to a tree. The red-haired Beiyu just sighed and shook her head. I'm fine, Nana. Just tired. Yeah, I suppose I haven't had that much sleep. With the training of Naruto-kun, trying to find Sato, and helping Tsukasa keep her power from leaking, then I guess it's understandable. Not really the greatest Beiyu in the world, am I? Kyuubi asked, and her sisters just chuckled and shook their heads. Still, I saw the place where the Raijin was. It's broken and destroyed. The seals were also gone. I really think he took it, but if he did, then why isn't the vampiric effect happening on him? Nibi asked. The Raijin was a double-edged sword. In return for its power, then the user would need to have even the tiniest bit of hatred in their heart for it to exploit, and slowly, but surely it would take over the soul of the individual. Well, this is Kami's son. He must have some B talisman to stop it. I wouldn't put it past him. Back then he had Tsukasa with him, and Tusan had all of us. But Kyuubi, honestly right now, if Naruto did fight Sato, then could he win? Nanabi asked, and Kyuubi rolled her eyes. I said he couldn't. Even with all the experiences that he's had, he still hasn't been around as long as Sato. He hasn't trained as long as Sato and he hasn't had nearly enough experiences as Sato has had. I told you that Tusan managed to beat him and Naruto is just a quarter of that, Kyubi said and Nibi just glared at her sister. Kyubi, do you think Naruto-kun could win? You've been with him the longest and I think he could. He's quite a genius actually, Nibi said and Kyubi just closed her eyes. Of course I believe Naruto could win, but I'm also trying to think about it rationally, damn it. Man, this whole thing happened because that damn woman couldn't own up to her responsibilities, Kyubi said with a heavy sigh. Nibi and Nanabi glanced at each other and nodded their heads before the three of them walked back to the house. With Nura knelt down on one knee to the ground and dropped one of the bandits to that ground. He glared at the man with eyes of superiority and disgust. Is this it? Nura asked in an pissed off tone. The bandit quickly nodded his head a little scared of the Dragon Lord's glare. Nura sighed and clutched the sword at his waist. He looked over the area and lowly grumbled. So this was where he was last sighted before he was taken. Yutara, I don't know what you have done, but I will correct my own mistake and I will end your life. Maybe then your soul will be granted mercy and you will find peace, Nura said to himself before he looked down at the lowly insect that Kami-sama called humans. Well, get out of my sight before I kill you. HMPH, worthless insect, Nura said as he walked off. The bandit just stood there in awe while Nura surveyed the landscape. He looked all over the area and he noticed something on the ground. He glared at it and picked it up. A talisman. It was made by me. It's my design. Why does he have it? Nura thought to himself before a sigh escaped his lips. He really hated this form. Such a low form from the one that he was used to. Ever since meeting back with Kami, he had been all over the place looking for Sato, but that wasn't getting him anywhere. Randomly searching wouldn't help him find Sato, but the weird thing was that Sato was always a flashy type of person. Nura was sure that he would have found Sato easily if not for him being so silent. HMPH, well, I guess this is as good a place to start as any. I just hope that I find that idiot before this world starts to grow on me. I shudder at such Nura said before he walked along the beaten path in front of him. Back in Konohagakure, with Neji. Really, Neji? That's wonderful. I can't believe Naruto-sama did that for you. Lee shouted while Tenten hugged Neji. Neji just shrugged his shoulders, but mentally he was just so happy that he couldn't hold it in. When is he taking it off? Tenten asked and Neji shook his head. It is based on an agreement of the side branch and the main branch. Either the main branch wears the seal along with us or the side branch gets theirs taken off and we mix. In either case we will be equals and we will all be able to learn the techniques. A lot are pushing for the second option mainly because the main branch don't want to subject their children to the pain of the cage bird seal, Neji said while Kiba just snorted. If you ask me, is serves that jerks right. I can't believe that there was misuse of the cage bird seal. I'm just glad you're all right, Kiba responded and Neji just nodded his head. So Kiba, I heard from Ino that you and Neji are pushing for the Jonin exams as well, Tenten said and Kiba turned to Neji. Why are you pushing for the Jonin exams? You just became a Chunin, Kiba said and Neji just shrugged his shoulders. It's more for my own reasons. Nothing other than that. I feel the need to push myself, that's all. I also heard about the heir to the UNI clan. Is that right? Neji asked and the others nodded their heads. Well, she's not even born yet and we're naming her the heir to the clan. Hee. Naruto's not that old yet, Kiba stated and everyone else gave a small chuckle. So Neji, when is the family going to make a decision? Ino asked him. The news that the side branch of the Hyuga were getting their cage bird seals taken off had spread like wildfire via friends, gossipers, and other shinobi. It was the only time that a stoic Hyuga had anything to smile about. In 2 weeks, Hokage-sama gave a time of 3 weeks and we're using it all. Once we come to a decision then Hiashi-sama will inform Hokage-sama and the appropriate action will be taken. He really kept his promise. In his early life, none of the side branch hated Naruto for what he held. Merely because they could relate to him. However, they were forbidden from helping him in the slightest. That's why during the random mobs, just a few side branch Hyuga would be in there as imposters and would just juken the hell out of anyone who they could get their hands on. Finally their kindness was being returned. Man, the time must be so slow for you, Chuji said, but Neji just shrugged his shoulders once again. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully nothing troublesome happens in that time, Shikamaru said, and the others nodded their heads before they all decided to disperse away. It was finally looking up for others. Konohagakure, 1 week later, with Yugao. Yugao sighed as she watched the new recruits spar against each other. She had wanted this day off to go home and have dinner with her boyfriend, but that didn't seem to be happening. She knew, however, that she would be home in time to see Kasumi's child. She was scheduled for today anyway. You seem bored, Bohr said to Kat. Yugao just rolled her eyes and shook her head. No, not really, just want to go home for a bit. You know, it's just the S of the day. Besides, the rookies seem to be having fun, but they don't know. I don't know, maybe I am bored. I just had a mission 3 days ago, so my excitement has gone down, Yugao said, and Bohr just nodded. He didn't like the long hours and short breaks either, but they had a job to do after all. It's not like he wanted to, he just had to. You'll get over it soon enough. Well, it doesn't really matter. In fact, your shift is over, Bohr said, and Yugao turned to him. No, it's not. I still have my shift for another 3 hours, Yugao said before she felt like Bohr was winking at her behind his mask. She then just widened her eyes and stood to her feet. The purple-haired Anbu bowed and shunshined out while Bohr chuckled. He then saw the rookies had stopped fighting and flashed a heavy key. Again, he ordered, and the rookies all went through their fighting katas again. UNI compound. Everyone was gathered around the table eating the dinner that Kushina, Sum and Haku had made for them. It was a little rowdy, but no one was complaining. This was what Yugao had walked in on as she seated herself. Oh, you got off early, did you? Naruto asked, and Yugao nodded with a soft smile on her face. She then took off her mask and rested it on the couch of the room. Hey brat, that was my piece. Anko shouted at Kiba, who just took a piece of meat. The Chunin just stuck his tongue out at the Tokubutsu Jonin, and Anko growled while she bonked him on the head. I'm done, Naruto-sama, Kasumi said as she walked up the stairs. Naruto nodded and watched her leave. She smiled to him, and Naruto smiled back as she disappeared. So Naruto-kun, that thing I heard from the Hyuga, is it true? Yugao asked, and Naruto nodded his head while everyone stayed quiet. Naruto swallowed a piece of food and sighed. That's right. A family shouldn't be divided for any reason. Also, I don't want to lose my shinobi to some trivial S like the main branch being too stuck up to do anything themselves. That's not to say that Hinata-chan, her sister, and Hiyashi-san don't work hard, but I know that a lot of them take the side branch for granted. I'm going to get rid of that immediately. I had recently discovered in my father's journal a way to take out the cage bird seal. It will be a fast, but painful process. However, with any luck it will be easy, Naruto said, and the others nodded. I think Naruto's got it right. That was the only time I think I saw Neji ready to burst out of a cake for having his seal removed. It was the only time that he ever gave a real, full-blown smile, Kiba said, and the Haku nodded with a chuckle. That's what I plan to have for everyone. After that, then I will be targeting the medical field. Bar-chan had the right idea of placing at least one medic on the team. I was thinking about putting in medical studies to the academy. It will help mission progress as well as the success rate of mission will go up, generate the revenues, and Naruto paused and looked up to see everyone smiling at him. What is it? Naruto asked them, and Kurenai was the one who decided to speak. Nothing, Naruto-kun. We just found that you have filled out the position so well. It's amazing how far you've come, Kurenai said, and Naruto just blushed and rubbed the back of his head while the rest of the family laughed. That was, until Kasumi came rushing down the stairs. Naruto-sama, Kasumi said, and everyone turned their attention to her. They saw her give a beaming smile while she rubbed her stomach. My water broke, she said, and Naruto widened his eyes to those words. Everyone immediately stopped eating and glanced at Naruto. The blonde's hair shadowed his eyes and he gave the biggest grin he could muster. I'm gonna be a father, Naruto shouted as he got up from his seat. Screw dinner, screw training, screw Hokage duties. He got to be a father. Naruto rushed towards Kasumi and quickly grabbed her. He opened the door to the outside where the sun was just setting. He turned back and he saw everyone urging him on. Kiba gave a thumbs up and so did Tayuya. The rest just smiled sweetly. Ino and Tenten waved goodbye to Kasumi as they closed the door. Hooray for grandchildren! Kushina shouted and the others shouted as well. Hear, hear. Soon shouted while the other members of the UNI clan cheered and shouted as well and the dogs howled. Kuromaru was the most silent as he was sleeping, but even he had a smirk across his face. With Naruto and Kasumi. Naruto and Kasumi hurriedly walked through the streets. People who had seen them were smiling like crazy. A lot of people cheered for their Hokage and his up-and-coming child. Naruto wasn't sure why, but it felt good to bask in all this praise. It was refreshing. Hey dope, Naruto looked up and he only noticed Itachi smack Sasuke over the head. He bowed with an apology while Naruto just waved it off. He just chuckled and Itachi turned to Kasumi. Good luck Kasumi-san, Itachi said and Kasumi nodded her head. She then turned to Sasuke and cleared her tea. Sasuke-san, you and I haven't always seen eye to eye, but I would like it, if Yuna becomes a shinobi, that you will train her, Kasumi said and Sasuke widened his eyes. Naruto did also before he just chuckled. Sasuke is the Jonin sensei for Yuna. How nice or rather how right. I would like it too Sasuke, Naruto said and Sasuke just remained silent. He closed his eyes for a bit before nodding. No promises, he said before he walked off. Itachi just shook his head and waved goodbye to Naruto and Kasumi. The two parents looked to each other and nodded. Naruto picked up Kasumi and Hiraishi and led away. With Tsunade and Shizune. Naruto and Kasumi appeared near Tsunade and Shizune startling the hell out of the two of them. Damn it brat, what the hell? Tsunade shouted before she and Shizune said Naruto almost struggling to keep Kasumi on her feet. Shizune gasped with a hand over her mouth while Tsunade glared going into medic nin mode. You and Kasumi follow me, Tsunade said getting to her feet and she quickly raced out of the door. Shizune immediately followed into step and guided Naruto and Kasumi out of the door. Kasumi, are you there? Tsukasa asked and Kasumi just grunted a yes to her question, but she found it sort of painful. However she decided to answer. In a lot of pain here Tsukasa-san. What is it? Kasumi asked and Tsukasa nodded her head fast. She knew how much pain Kasumi was in, but Tsukasa had been holding that meditative pose for 6 months and she had let it slip from her mind. Kasumi, I'm going to explain this once. When you are ready to deliver, have Naruto-kun push as much of his chakra into you as he can. This will override the destructive power of my energy that you won't have control over. This is a must, Tsukasa said and Kasumi nodded her head while Tsukasa remained silent. En Naruto-sama, Tsukasa told me to tell you this, Kasumi said and she told Naruto everything. The blonde narrowed his eyes, but he nodded nonetheless and agreed with it. Outside, an Anbu was easily stationed out at the entrance. He looked around the area for a little bit. However, he never had the chance to do anything else before AS came. It quickly see off his N and sent him to the floor. A hooded person appeared out of the trees and glared up. Right behind him was his follower who just glared impassively. The leader smirked and then cracked his knuckles. Time to start a new movement. Isn't that right, Konoha? It seems you have all forgotten, then allow me to refresh you memory, he said before he vanished. Inside. Almost there Kasumi. Naruto, how are you holding up? Tsunade asked and Naruto just turned to her showing Tsunade that he had more or less activated Kyuubi's chakra just to deal with this. His eyes were S at the moment. It had to be painful. I've been better damn it, but hurry up Bar-chan. Naruto said and Tsunade nodded. Shizune wiped the sweat from her master's brow while Tsunade sighed. Alright Kasumi, one last push. Come on, you can do it. Tsunade said, but they all saw Kasumi lean back and huff. She was sweating profusely across her face and her eyes showed utter pain. I can't do it, Kasumi said, but Naruto leaned close and smiled. Come on Kasumi-chan. One last push. All your strength, don't worry about hurting me. I will deal. Come on, you want a soft bed with Yuna-chan right? Let's do it. Let's welcome her to the world. Let's welcome Yuna Uzumaki Namikaze. Push Kasumi-chan. Naruto shouted with Kyuubi's cloak still around him and Kasumi sucked in her breath and shouted at the top of her voice as she pushed. Good, good. Tsunade repeated and Kasumi released all the strength she could muster, but she didn't last as long as she liked. She fell to the table and cried. I can't anymore Naruto-sama, Kasumi said and Naruto was silent. She opened a tired eye before her pain dwindled. Kasumi's ears stopped ringing from her screaming and she heard crying. She opened her eyes and she saw Naruto smiling with tears around his eyes. You don't need to push any more, Kasumi-chan. You did it, Naruto said, his cloak dissipating, and Kasumi widened her eyes before more crying filled the room. She looked up and she noticed Tsunade huffing and Shizune carrying a bundle in her clothes. The crying was very loud, but that was to be expected. Yuna is here, Naruto said to her, and Shizune smiled as she placed Yuna near Kasumi's field of vision. Kasumi turned her head and smiled while she licked Yuna's cheek. A sweet black-haired girl with deep blue eyes. On the sides of her cheeks were 3 whisker marks. Her little fingers, her little toes and her tiny body. Kasumi could see, as each time Yuna cried, the small but noticeable canines at the sides of her mouth. Yuna, my baby, Kasumi said with her eyes absolutely glowing with happiness. Naruto chuckled as his clone dispelled and he fell to the ground. We did it. I have a child, Naruto said, and he quickly got up and kissed Kasumi on the cheek. I will take care of her, Naruto. You have nothing to worry about, Shizune said, and Naruto nodded before he began to slowly help Kasumi to her feet. She was still very weak and the white fire was making itself more apparent since she was tired. They would have to move her slowly. It was a nice feeling. Until Naruto, Tsunade and Kasumi widened their eyes as Shizune gasped and fell to the ground with a heavy crash. Naruto and Kasumi could hear Yuna's crying before the blonde turned his head. Rokudaime Hokage Naruto. Step away from the carrier of the light, Toby said in a dark tone while holding Yuna in his arms. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.